Former governor and future inmate Bob McDonnell and his wife have been convicted of corruption, fraud, and bribery charges. And this is according to the Associated Press, breaking news. So what did they do? What did Bob and Maureen McDonnell do? Well, they accepted over $165,000 in quote-unquote gifts, as well as loans from a businessman who was trying to sell some sort of medication named Johnny Williams. Now, the governor and his wife did some of these favors in order to sort of fast-track this medication to get it past some of these boards. Now, Bob, of course, was found guilty on most of the counts, 11 counts of corruption in total. Maureen McDonnell, she was found guilty of about 8 counts of corruption-related charges, as well as obstruction of justice. So very, very serious counts. We're not sure what the sentence is going to be. He could be facing a lot of time, or possibly not, because, look, let's be honest about the two-tiered system of justice that we have here in America today. Their odds are that they might get off a little bit easier than most people would, but still, they may get a significant punishment.
First of all, it's just it's amazing that any politician in America these days gets done on any form of corruption charges, because as we all know, it's so easy to get away with taking, donations to get stuff done. How he managed to get caught? I mean, if it had been $5,000 or something had been done, I'd be like, okay, maybe his accountant had messed up and he got in trouble for that. But for so much money, which he probably could have gotten through legal ways, it's just stupid. And to the point of whether he's going to get a heavy sentence or not, I don't think he will do. And to be honest, I think if he did get a heavy sentence, then a lot of the other politicians, they'd probably go, okay, now we need to be super serious about how kind of secretive we are about donation stuff. We really need to make sure that every dollar we get is completely legal, so they may end up changing the rules even more. So if you got a super serious sentence, then that might not necessarily be a good thing, but at the end of the day, he's a crook and he should go to jail for the maximum sentence that the laws allow.
Well, I guess, so Stephen hit my first point about just like why would anyone in America do illegal bribery whenever legal bribery is just so like out there. But from the other side of it, like, why do people like this, like, why does this kind of bribery work on them? Right? Like, this guy wasn't trading him like for a job on K Street or something like he was giving him like Rolexes and giving designer clothes. Like, this is a fairly wealthy gentleman who can already afford. Maybe it's just because I'm not particularly wealthy. I mean, I make a decent living in a low wage or a low cost of living state, so I'm comfortable. But like, I can't understand like having as much money as the McDonald's do, and like somebody giving me a watch like that being something that could effectively bribe me. I would be like, I can tell time. I have nice things. You're going to have to come up with something a lot better than some clothes and a watch, but I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not in that world.
Yeah, it wasn't just a watch. It was also allowing them to use like a very expensive car, lavish vacations, paying for part of the McDonald's daughter's wedding. I remember covering this when the whole indictments broke way back when, and I went through in detail of some of the gifts that he had received, all for them being able to pretty much push this guy's product, allowing them to use the governor's mansion to show off this product. It's obvious corruption, and it's sort of strange that in the era of post-Citizens United, post-McCutcheon, that you still have this kind of blatant corruption when it's so much easier to do other corruption and get away with it.
Well, that said, what is this? Well, looks like we might have a guest in a minute, but first, I would agree, Jeff, but at the same time, it's interesting, because you know what? I feel like these make great scapegoats. I feel like they make excellent scapegoats for people to say, see, look, that's what corruption really looks like. Look, we took care of it and prosecuted it. Our stuff isn't corruption. Ha 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 ha. It's not necessarily the way it's not definitely not orchestrated that way, because these people are very greedy. Like hell, they would fall on their sword for anyone else other than themselves. But still, it almost you're still sort of left with the slight impression of it's almost like a scapegoat thing, almost, but it's not. But it also sort of comes across that way too.
And that may be because, and maybe this is what the underlying issue here, why this guy is not only being wasn't just prosecuted but found guilty, because this wasn't corruption that helped the industry. Just like the bribery wasn't the typical, like, you scratch my back, I get you a job, revolving door bribery. It was one guy giving to one couple all this nice stuff, and the whole pharmaceutical or witch doctor pharmaceutical, like this stuff, dietary supplements, so the homeopathy of vitamins, whatever you want to call it. They weren't benefiting. Like, he wasn't pushing legislation to help that industry. He was helping out his buddy. So whenever it came time to bust somebody, nobody had his back because he didn't help them.